Welcome to the Millcreek Government Channel. I'm Judy Zelina. Today we're going to be talking about an AARP program. First off, AARP brings some wonderful programs to our community. I know they do the driver safety program, but they also do free income tax preparation. In fact, AARP is the nation's largest volunteer-run tax preparation and service. So today to talk about the service, but also to explain how you could become a volunteer and what the volunteers do for this program, we have Robert Pollock and Bob. Bob is a AARP Tax Aide volunteer himself.
That's correct.
Thank you for joining us. It is a pleasure having you on the program.
Well, I'm glad to be here to tell my story.
Well, I know that Millcreek Township, we are very fortunate to be one of the sites, and we're going to talk about how many sites that you do have in the area. And I'm really, really pleased that we're able to accommodate so many residents. But I know that this program could not happen without volunteers. Now, first off, Bob, how did you even get involved in this program?
Well, I became involved by one of my friends told me about the program, but in my place of employment, I did a lot of volunteer work there as well. I did United Way campaigns, I did the Arts Council campaigns, and the company I worked for, GTE, had a very strong program of community involvement, both by volunteering and through financial contributions. So it just carried over. When I retired, I was looking for things to do.
And so this is where you came on board. How long have you been volunteering?
I've been preparing taxes for 16 years at two sites. I work at one of the sites called LifeWorks Erie, which is the senior center at 4th and Peach, and I also work at the Salvation Army on Liberty Street.
Okay. Usually, to volunteers, they tend to pretty much stay at the same sites from year to year. And it's funny because I know even my volunteers, when the people call for to set up an appointment, because it is, again, by appointment only, correct?
That's correct.
At most of the sites, at least. They'll ask for a specific preparer. So all of a sudden, it's kind of become their preparer.
Well, they're comfortable with the person that did their return the previous year.
Exactly. Now, for this, to be eligible to use this program, this tax preparation, this service, are there any type of guidelines for our residents?
We will do tax returns for individuals probably if they have a gross income of around $50,000, but we don't turn anybody away. We do seniors if they just have to have property tax or rent rebate forms completed. And so we offer a whole range of services to a number of individuals.
Now, what different income taxes do you prepare?
We prepare the federal tax return and the state tax return and the local income tax return if they're employed. And for seniors, we will prepare their property tax rebate or their rent rebate form for them.
So really, quite honestly, you guys are just one-stop shopping and you'll do it all for them, right?
That's correct.
Now, again, we were talking about this program would not happen if it weren't for volunteers, because it is all volunteer-based. I know there's probably some viewers out there thinking they would like to do something like this, but would they be qualified? Tell us a little bit about some of the people who volunteer.
Well, first of all, we prepare our taxes using a laptop computer, but and some of the volunteers we have their own laptop computer, but you don't have to be a computer expert to prepare tax returns for AARP. We will provide equipment, the laptops and the printers, and we will provide the training. We provide training for how to use the computer and how to use the TaxWise system, which is a common system for the entire country for anybody preparing IRS federal tax returns.
Okay, so you would use the same program that any accountant or CPA would be using, pretty much?
Well, if they, like the IRS used to prepare tax returns at the post office, but they use the same system as we do. Okay. The VITA sites use the same. It's called TaxWise, and it's a standard program for AARP and VITA. But a lot of individuals use other programs at their home called TurboTax. We don't use that. We use the TaxWise system.
Okay. Now, is this, you're doing it on a laptop? Is it a paper form that they are going to be filing?
Well, what we do is the laptop has a screen, and we access the TaxWise system online. So we're preparing all the forms are in the system. So we complete all the necessary forms, and then we submit them. We file them on the intranet, and they're immediately sent to the IRS.
So it's electronic filing?
That's correct.
For federal and state?
For federal and state. For local income tax, we give the client a paper copy of all of the returns.
So they have a copy of whatever you've done anyway?
They do.
Okay.
So the federal and state tax returns are filed electronically. The local tax return, we present a copy to them, and we give them a copy of their property tax or rent rebate form, which they have to mail.
Okay. Volunteers. How can I become a volunteer?
Well, you can become a volunteer if they're watching the program. I think we tell them that you can either call LifeWorks Erie at 453-5072. I have to check that number. Is that the number? 453-5072.
Okay.
Or send an email to aarptaxcounselor@gmail.com. And that's me.
Okay. So you'll get their email, and they'll get the message to you. LifeWorks will get the message to you. What will I have to do? How would I prepare? In other words, what are the steps from the phone call that I call you to the time I sit down with my first client?
Well, if we receive a call, if LifeWorks Erie receives a call, they tell me. If I look at the email address, I will then call the potential client, the volunteer,
right.
And I will meet with them and familiarize them. If they have a laptop, show them how to access the TaxWise system online, and then to assure them that we will provide training for them. There are two segments. One is called Tax Law, where they learn how to do the return, how to determine filing requirements, all the exemptions, anything you need to prepare a tax return. Then there's a second segment called TaxWise Online to learn how to use the system itself. There are two parts to it.
Okay. Now this takes place, of course, December, January?
Well, we're going to begin now first of all, we will have the recruitment program running to the end of the year.
Okay.
We don't begin doing taxes until late January or early February.
Right.
We have a number of volunteers now, and our first training class will start October 1st, and will run through the month of October. Now, when the new volunteers come to the first class, then we will begin showing them how the tax law and on TaxWise Online. And the most challenging part is how to determine tax law requirements. But we will complete the training. The training is extensive. And at the end of the training, all the new volunteers, as well as the existing volunteers, have to go through a certification process. We have to take a test. And we have to pass an IRS-sponsored test and to determine if we are still up to speed on preparing IRS tax returns.
Oh, okay. All right, so it's not I just go to class and then you sit me down with a client.
That's right. No,
I get tested. I'm tested on this.
Yeah, there has to be. They have to pass the test.
Okay. Now, are you seeing? Do you have a lot of volunteers? Well, I know there's always a need for volunteers. How many do you have right now that are working at the different sites?
We have 40 currently.
Okay.
But what's been happening over the years is the IRS has put more checks and balances into place, because, as you may know, there are folks out there that are fraudulently trying to take the tax returns from other people. So now we have a process recently where if we have what we call a client facilitator, the person who welcomes the client when they come into the AARP site, and we have them complete an intake form where they list all their income. They just check some blocks to tell us what their requirements are. And then we advise them that they must show a photo ID for us to be able to do the tax return.
Okay. I know the last couple of years at the municipal building, we've had a client facilitator. It was absolutely wonderful. It really makes the process so smooth. Because honestly, when a lot of time when the clients come in, they get this form and it might be too overwhelming for them. Well, I don't know about this. How do I fill this out? Am I supposed to fill this? Is this necessary? So this way it relaxes them, smooths the process. So when the preparer is ready for the next person, they're all ready to roll and start doing the income tax. It moves a lot.
Well, the client facilitator role is a relatively new one, and the training requirements for a client facilitator are nowhere near as rigorous as they are for preparers. So they don't have to use a laptop. They greet the client, they advise them on how to complete the form, and then they organize all of the material needed. So some folks come in with a lot of paper.
Right.
So we look for the W-2s, the 1099s, any documents on which income is listed, and then that's organized and given to the tax preparer.
And the best part about being a client facilitator, I don't have to take a test, do I, to do this?
That's correct. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you get a passing mark by just showing up.
So, but I think anybody who would be interested in doing income tax has probably is a little bit familiar with it. In other words, it's something, a lot of them, maybe it's not something they've never done. So they're not jumping into something, cold turkey without any idea. So I think, I know what I have seen of my tax preparers. I think that they are top notch. You guys do an excellent job of training.
Thank you. Yeah.
Because honestly, I'm the one that people would call if there's a problem with their income tax, or if they get a call or a letter. It's not a call because the IRS doesn't call you, but if you get a letter from the IRS that there is a problem, and I'm going to tell you something, that doesn't happen. So you guys do a great job.
Well, the process, when we enter the material, then we have to go through a diagnostics protocol. And so if we don't have, we will receive error messages. We cannot send the return until it passes all the diagnostics that are built into the TaxWise system.
So if there's a glitch, if something's wrong, it's going to reject it and you'll know right away.
Because what we do is we go through the diagnostics and then we send it. So we cannot send it until it clears all the diagnostics. And then there's a second step. Another thing that's been added is called quality review. At one time, we didn't have the client facilitator, we didn't have the quality reviewer. Several years ago, we sat down, prepared a return, and sent it. Now we prepare the return, and we have to have another person come in and look at the return, and they check all of our entries against the documents before it's sent.
So it's double checked.
That's correct.
Wonderful, wonderful. We were talking a little bit earlier, and we were talking about TCE, tax counseling for the elderly. There's two programs, TCE and VITA.
Yeah. Okay.
What is the difference between those two?
Well, we have the 14 AARP sites in our district. The VITA program is sponsored by the United Way, and they have 17 sites. We overlap in some of the towns. But the VITA focuses on low-income individuals who qualify for earned income tax credit. There's an awful lot of money that comes into Erie County by the good work done by the VITA people.
Okay.
Our focus is mostly on senior citizens and property tax and rent rebate, but we also do individuals who do qualify for earned income tax credit. We're not competing. Our objective is the same, to see that every citizen in Erie County has access to a tax preparation site either VITA or AARP at no cost.
And as I want to point out, like Bob said, our site is considered TCE, tax counseling for the elderly, but we don't turn anybody away. I mean, if you fit the income guidelines and we are not competing with VITA.
That's correct.
But I will tell you, all the sites, everybody's booked. I mean, because it is by appointment. Most of them are by appointment. And I'll tell you one thing, there's no slow time. There's no lags. I mean, like at the Township, we start in February and we go through the middle of April. Probably by the beginning of March, middle of March, I mean, I'm booked. So are the other sites that I'm familiar with too, like the Summit and Asbury.
Well, right now, we do have some volunteers to do preparation of tax returns. Well, probably our largest need right now is for client facilitators, the easiest jobs. I know that at LifeWorks, we did have client facilitators last year, but we're going to train them on how to prepare taxes because we're losing one of our volunteers.
Okay.
So we have to look for client facilitators there. I know we need them at other now I'm sure we're going to need one at Millcreek. So client facilitators, you don't have to use a laptop. You don't have to take a test. You just have to come in. We'll give you a nice shirt to wear. And
oh, you're tempting me here, Bob. I'm telling you.
and the other thing that there's reimbursement for miles driven. AARP will reimburse the volunteer for 56.5 cents a mile for every mile driven from their home to the tax preparation site.
Okay.
So that's
and that's even for the facilitator.
For the facilitators or preparers, it doesn't
Both?
matter.
Okay.
Anybody coming to an AARP site will be reimbursed for miles driven.
I think being a client facilitator, especially with the type of work that I do, is a lot of fun because you're meeting so many different people. It's basically you're greeting them, you're putting them at ease, helping get their things a little bit organized, right?
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, tax preparers, though, you do need those too, also, Bob,
yes,
right?
we do. Yeah, we have some vacancies right now, and as a matter of fact, if we had more volunteers, we could probably expand the days and the hours that we prepare taxes.
And how many sites do you have with AARP?
There are 14. There are 14 active sites right now. We have an inactive site now in Albion. So if we do have one individual that I spoke with yesterday who lives in Girard, and she's going to be trained. So and possibly we would reactivate the Albion site if we received another volunteer for that particular location.
That would be nice because there's nobody out there in that area doing that with
we'll find out. So we have to go.
Okay, viewers, you see, somebody from Albion, give us a call here.
At the number, yes, okay.
Call LifeWorks or send Bob an email. Now, this program will go through, their commitment is, again, for how long?
Well, while we may have 2 days a week at a particular site, if the person can only work 1 day a week, we'll accommodate them. You don't have to work. You don't have to work all the sites at the times listed. We'll take you for a day or a half a day, and so we'll accommodate anybody who wishes to volunteer.
And I'll tell you, like I said, I have the program at the municipal building, and you guys are great. You really, really provide a wonderful service to the residents. People are very, very grateful. Throughout the year, I'll see people that are very low income, and they'll bring me in their income tax, and we'll do the rebate, and I'll say, we've got this program that they didn't even know about. That's why I'm glad we're getting the word out. But I know there's also a lot of our viewers who may still be a little bit hesitant about being a volunteer. Again, Bob, just go over what qualifications you look for in an individual.
Well, if the individual is interested,
right,
and they call, then I would meet with them and we would talk. As I mentioned earlier, we do use a laptop to prepare the tax returns.
Right.
If you have a laptop, you can bring it. If you don't have a laptop, we will provide one for you. And we will provide training. And the person doing the training is a tax lawyer, and she's very well versed in tax law, and she's a good trainer. She doesn't push. She doesn't expect miracles. She will work with you until you're comfortable preparing tax returns.
Okay, so you make it very easy. I'll tell you one thing. Great organization, great program to volunteer for. I mean, if anyone out there is looking for something to do, I'd recommend it highly. And there's going to be a location close to your home. So it's not just, if you live in a different part of the county, don't think we're just here talking about the Millcreek Municipal Building, but it's all over.
We're in Northeast, Harbor Creek,
Okay.
Union City, Corey, Meadville, Edinburgh, the churches in Erie. We're in Fairview at the Triborough Senior Center. So we're pretty well distributed. So there's room for everybody.
There is room for everybody. Viewers, please, if you think that you can give them some help here by either being a preparer or a
client facilitator,
please give Bob a call at LifeWorks. And that, do you have that number again handy?
It's the LifeWorks call, 453-5072.
And you can shoot him an email. He'll get right back
That's
to
correct.
you.
Yeah.
And you can also he'll talk to you about the different sites too, and see if it would be something that would be, right in your area and convenient for you. Bob, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on the program, telling our viewers a little bit about the income tax aid. Great program. You guys do a super job. But again, volunteers are needed. The volunteers are needed. They cannot bring this program to the residents if we didn't have volunteers.
That's so. And thank you for having me on your program, Judy.
It's a pleasure. Viewers, again, if you're thinking about volunteering, don't hesitate. Call that phone number. Thank you for tuning into the Millcreek Government Channel. Until next time, have a wonderful day.
You're watching the Millcreek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.